The slap echoed through the quiet cafe so loudly that every conversation stopped. Coffee cups froze halfway to waiting lips. A little girl sitting by the window tightened her grip on her hot chocolate as she watched her father slowly turn his face back toward the woman who had hit him. No one expected the man to stay calm. No one expected the woman to regret it only minutes later. And no one noticed the bodyguard standing behind her until his eyes locked onto a faded scar above the father's right eyebrow. His face turned pale. "Ma'am," he whispered. "I know that man." Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. If you enjoy emotional stories about kindness, justice, family, and unforgettable life lessons, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Saturday mornings were usually the happiest part of Marcus Johnson's week. The 38-year-old single father never missed breakfast with his 10-year-old daughter, Lily. They always visited a small neighborhood cafe with warm cinnamon rolls and the friendliest waitresses in town. Marcus wasn't rich. At least that's what everyone believed. He wore faded jeans, clean work boots, and simple flannel shirts. His old pickup truck had over 200,000 miles on it. He smiled easily, tipped generously, and treated everyone with respect. To Lily, he was simply the greatest dad in the world. "Dad," Lily giggled, brushing whipped cream from her nose, "you still owe me a rematch in checkers." Marcus laughed. "I remember. But don't celebrate too early. I always win." "You usually do." Their laughter filled the table. Across the cafe, a convoy of black luxury SUVs stopped outside. The front doors swung open. In walked Victoria Langston. She was one of the country's youngest CEOs, leading a billion-dollar technology company inherited after her father's death. Newspapers admired her success. Business magazines praised her confidence. People who worked for her knew another side. She expected perfection. She hated delays. And she had little patience for ordinary people. Behind her walked two assistants and a tall bodyguard named Daniel. The cafe staff rushed to welcome them. "We've reserved your favorite table, Ms. Langston." Victoria barely nodded. As they crossed the room, Lily accidentally stepped backward while carrying two mugs from the self-service counter. She bumped gently into Victoria. A few drops of coffee splashed onto the CEO's expensive white jacket. The room went silent. Lily's eyes grew wide. I'm so sorry." Victoria stared at the stain. "Do you have any idea how much this jacket costs?" Lily's voice shook. "It was an accident." Marcus stood immediately. "She's just a child," he said calmly. "I'll gladly pay for cleaning." Victoria looked Marcus up and down. "You?" Her laugh was sharp. "I doubt you could afford the buttons." People nearby lowered their heads. Marcus kept his voice steady. "Mistakes happen. There's no need to embarrass her." Victoria stepped closer. "You should teach your daughter to stay out of successful people's way." Lily's eyes filled with tears. Marcus placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "That's enough." Victoria's pride flared. Without warning, she slapped Marcus across the face. The cafe gasped. Lily cried out, "Dad!" Marcus slowly turned back toward Victoria. He never raised his voice. He never lifted his hand. Instead, he quietly asked, "Do you feel better now?" That simple question somehow made the silence even heavier. Then Daniel, the bodyguard, looked carefully at Marcus's face. His breathing stopped. "That scar. It couldn't be." He stepped forward. "Sir." Marcus looked at him. Recognition slowly appeared in both their eyes. Daniel whispered, "Camp Hollow Creek, 15 years ago?" Marcus smiled gently. "You made it." Victoria frowned. "What are you talking about?" Daniel ignored her. His eyes had become wet. "You saved my life." Everyone stared. Daniel took a slow breath. When I was 16, my family was homeless. I ran away after my father died. He pointed at Marcus. I fell through an old bridge during a flood. The cafe remained completely silent. I couldn't swim. My leg was trapped. I thought I was going to die. Daniel looked directly at Marcus. This man jumped into freezing water without thinking twice. Marcus tried to interrupt. It was a long time ago. Daniel shook his head. No. You nearly drowned pulling me out. He pointed toward the scar. That scar came from the broken bridge. Victoria's confident expression began to crack. Daniel continued. He stayed with me until the ambulance came. He paid for my food. He found me a shelter. He visited every week until I finished school. Marcus shrugged. You would have done the same. Daniel smiled sadly. I wouldn't have had the chance. Lily looked proudly at her father. You never told me. Marcus squeezed her hand. You don't help people to collect stories. Victoria suddenly felt every eye in the cafe on her. She had just slapped the man who had once saved her most trusted employee's life. But the surprises weren't over. The cafe owner quietly approached Marcus. Sir, your usual table is ready. Victoria frowned. You come here often? The owner smiled. Every Saturday. He looked around proudly. Marcus paid for our kitchen renovation 3 years ago. Victoria blinked. What? He told us never to tell anyone. The waitress joined in. When my husband needed heart surgery, Marcus covered the hospital bill. Another customer spoke up. He bought winter coats for half the neighborhood kids. An elderly man added softly, he repaired my roof after the storm. Marcus looked embarrassed. Please. The owner laughed. You're always saying the same thing. If kindness needs applause, it's not really kindness. Victoria suddenly realized something. No one in the cafe admired her. Everyone admired him. Not because of money. Because of who he was. She cleared her throat. I'm sorry. Marcus nodded politely. I accept your apology. But Daniel wasn't finished. He quietly said, Ma'am, there's something else. Victoria looked confused. You've been asking me for months why I never leave this job. She nodded. It's because the company gave me a chance. Daniel smiled. It wasn't the company. It was Marcus. Victoria frowned. What do you mean? Daniel took out his phone. 5 years ago your father secretly hired Marcus as an outside leadership advisor. Victoria stared. My father never mentioned that. He rarely mentioned his biggest decisions. Daniel continued. When your father became sick, Marcus refused every executive position he offered. He said he'd rather build community programs than chase another title. Victoria's voice became quiet. So, he's a businessman? The cafe owner laughed. Businessman? Marcus smiled awkwardly. Daniel answered. He's the founder of one of the largest construction companies in the country. Victoria slowly sat down. She suddenly remembered seeing his name years earlier. Marcus Johnson. The billionaire who almost never appeared in public. The man famous for rejecting magazine interviews. The investor known for funding schools, shelters, and veterans' housing. She had never recognized him because he looked nothing like the polished photographs from old business magazines. Marcus had chosen a quiet life. Victoria looked at Lily. So, your dad. Lily smiled proudly. My dad says being rich isn't something you wear. Marcus chuckled. I did say that. Victoria lowered her eyes. My father used to say something similar. Marcus's smile softened. He was a good man. You knew him well? Marcus nodded. He believed companies should make communities stronger. Victoria swallowed hard. I forgot that. For several long seconds neither of them spoke. Finally Victoria stood. She faced the entire cafe. Then she did something no one expected. She apologized publicly. I judged a little girl. I insulted a father. And I acted with arrogance. She looked directly at Marcus. I can't erase what I did. But I can choose who I become after today. Marcus studied her face. For the first time, he didn't see a proud CEO. He saw someone struggling to become better. He extended his hand. Then today is a good place to start. She shook it. The entire cafe applauded. Months later, Victoria launched a company program offering scholarships for single-parent families and housing support for homeless teenagers. She asked Marcus to advise the project. He accepted on one condition. No buildings named after either of us. She laughed. Still avoiding attention? He smiled. Always. Lily finally got her long-promised checkers rematch that afternoon. She won again. Marcus pretended to be shocked. I think you're getting too good. I've always been this good, she laughed. Daniel watched them from nearby with a grateful smile, knowing that one act of kindness from years ago had changed both his life and many others. Sometimes the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. Sometimes true wealth isn't measured by expensive clothes, luxury cars, or powerful titles. It's measured by the lives you've quietly lifted when no one was watching. Because respect can be demanded through fear for a moment, but it can only be earned through kindness for a lifetime. If this story touched your heart, let us know in the comments what lesson you learned. Tell us where you're watching from, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you in the next story.